Westbrook Academy was the kind of school where the tuition for one semester could buy a house in a normal neighborhood. Kids arrived in cars that cost more than most people's retirement funds, driven by personal chauffeurs who wore ties. They carried bags made of leather so soft you were afraid to touch it. And they spoke about summer vacations in places like Monaco and the Swiss Alps like we talk about going to the grocery store. Then there was Mia. She came from a trailer park, the kind with a rusted swing set in the middle and a dog that barked at its own shadow. Her mom worked double shifts at a diner, and her dad was a ghost who left when she was 6. The scholarship was her only way out, a golden ticket she had worked for by studying until 2 in the morning under a flickering lamp, fueled by instant noodles and the desperate hope that education could actually change your life. But Westbrook wasn't just a school. It was a system. And the system was built on money, reputation, and a strict social hierarchy that was more brutal than any high school movie you've ever seen. On her first day, Mia walked into the main hall. The ceiling was a mural of Greek gods, and the chandeliers looked heavy enough to crush a car. Everyone turned to look at her. It wasn't a warm welcome. It was the kind of stare you give to something that doesn't belong. Whispers followed her like a shadow. Who is she? Look at her shoes. Did she walk here? The popular kids, a tight circle known as the Crowns, because they wore custom-made pins on their blazers, didn't even bother hiding their contempt. Their leader was a girl named Victoria. She had blonde hair that looked like liquid gold, and a smile that was sharp like a knife. Victoria didn't say a single word to Mia for the first week. She didn't have to. Her silence was louder than any insult. She would walk past Mia in the hallway, flanked by her friends, and the air around her would feel cold. It was a deliberate, calculated form of psychological warfare. She would accidentally bump into her, causing Mia to drop her books. She would spread rumors, so subtle that no one could prove where they came from, saying that Mia had cheated on her entrance exam, that her scholarship was a scam. It was social assassination, the high school version of economic sanctions, designed to isolate and destroy. But here's the thing about growing up in a trailer park. You see things. You understand survival at a level these rich kids can't even imagine. Mia didn't cry. She didn't complain to the teachers. She knew the teachers were all on the payroll of the parents of the Crowns. Complaining would just be an admission of weakness. She adapted. She found the quiet corners of the library, the ones with dusty books that no one else touched. She discovered that the janitor, a grumpy old man named Mr. Henderson, who everyone ignored, was actually a former engineer who had built parts for NASA. The cafeteria lady who served the food spoke 5 languages. The school wasn't just a place for rich kids. It was a place full of invisible people who held the entire operation together. People the students were trained to look straight through. Mia started talking to them. She didn't act superior. She didn't pity them. She treated them like they were equals, because she knew better than anyone that the people who have the least often have the most to give. While Victoria and her friends were obsessing over their Instagram followers and their parents' stock portfolios, Mia was learning the secrets of the school. She learned how the heating system worked, where the secret passages were that connected the old dormitories, and most importantly, she learned about the system. The system was an unwritten rulebook that governed Westbrook. It was based on a point system no one talked about but everyone followed. Points weren't for grades. Points were for status. You got points for wearing the right brands, for being invited to the right parties, for having a parent who donated to the school. If you had enough points, doors opened for you. If you didn't, you were invisible. Mia had 0 points. She was at the absolute bottom. But she was watching, learning the patterns and waiting for her moment. The challenge came in the form of the annual Westbrook Charity Gala. This was the big event of the year. It wasn't just a party. It was a stage where reputations were made and broken. The event raised money for a local orphanage, but honestly, it was just an excuse for the adults to show off their wealth. Victoria was in charge of the decorations, and she made sure Mia was given the worst job possible, scrubbing the floor with a mop and bucket. Right as the guests were arriving, Victoria wanted to humiliate her in front of everyone. But while Mia was mopping, she was thinking. Over the past few weeks, she had discovered that the charity was a sham. Most of the money raised never reached the orphanage. It was being stolen by the board president, who was none other than Victoria's father. Mia had the proof in her pocket, old accounting records that showed the stolen money. As the auction began, the bidding reached a fever pitch. The last item was a trip to Paris, and the bidding went up to $50,000. That's when Mia put down her mop and walked to the podium. She didn't have a microphone, but she didn't need one. "That money isn't going to the orphanage," she said. The room went silent. She pulled out the paper and read the numbers out loud. 120,000 raised, but only 12,000 went to the kids. The rest went into a private account controlled by the board president. Victoria's father. The room erupted. People were shouting, phones were recording, and Victoria looked like she had been slapped. Her father tried to deny it, but the evidence was right there. Mia had exposed the whole thing in front of everyone. Within 3 days, the board investigated and confirmed everything. Victoria's father was forced to resign, and a new system was put in place to make sure the charity money actually went to the orphanage. Mia didn't become a celebrity overnight, but she had changed everything. The students started seeing the janitors, the cafeteria ladies, and the people from the trailer parks as human beings, not invisible servants. On the last week of school, Victoria came to Mia and handed her the crown's pin, the symbol of the highest status in the school. But Mia gave it back. She didn't need it. She had proved that you don't have to change who you are to belong. Sometimes you just have to change the room you're standing in. The system will always try to break you, but it only survives if the people at the bottom stay quiet. Mia showed that the loudest voice often comes from the one who was told to mop the floor.